telling stories and trying to explain money is not an easy thing. It's a heavy subject. I didn't want it to be boring and theoretical. I needed it to be an easy read.
Raise up. You ready? We're back. We took a slight break there to have a tea break. Put some energy in Rena's system. Put some energy in our system. Convo is crazy. You never truly know people until you take time to know people. Yeah. So Rena, where we left off this place was a bit of a good news, but good news sugar wrapped in such a different, like your story is getting crazy. So you got promoted, but you got promoted as a result of fraud.
Yes.
Where does the business go? I mean, where does the story go from here?
So you know, the promotion was fine, but it was to fix a mess. It was to fix a mess because of that fraud that happened. And I was in quite a state because there was such a strong and heavy sense of betrayal. There was also fear because we had just discovered what had happened, but we didn't know the extent to which it had happened. And so just going through the process of investigations and getting somebody to come in as a forensic auditor and check all of that and make sure that people get, I mean, I just had a lot of anger and resentment towards those who had done what they did to us. So it was a difficult transition into that role. So as I had said, I was a corporate finance analyst and I had to transition into operations. COO. But, you know, that then gave me a holistic sense of the business. Also just taking time to set the right systems and controls and checks and making sure that we follow those processes. And just saying, yeah, I trust you, but I'll still check. So...
I'm out of the details, but fraud is a common thing within the financial sector.
No, everywhere.
Actually.
Ask somebody who's in retail about fraud.
You're right.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Fraud is everywhere. It's just done differently. But it is very common in the financial services space because it's money, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, everywhere. Insurance, there's fraud. People lie about accidents they've had or, you know, all sorts of things to get claims. Banks, there's either it is, you know, a hacker or somebody trying to steal a little coin, a few shillings from everybody's account. Or there's all kinds of things that are going on, which is a very unfortunate thing. But it's what it is and it's there. And that's why we have people who are risk management experts and compliance officers and internal auditors to just check that the systems and controls are happening. And I think for me, those sort of roles initially were just like, oh, you know, the Capital Markets Authority and regulators expect that financial services have these people and departments. But let me just tell you, they save businesses. Yeah, because you're able to check for risks and mitigate those risks before they happen. Okay. Yeah.
So what happens next?
So basically what happens next, you know, now it's 2009. I have a new baby. I slow down in my many things up in the air because I am mommy. I've never been a mom before. I am married. I need to work on both these things. I'm desiring to have a baby. And so that I get overwhelmed and caught up in this whole, yes, I'm operations director, but I have all these other stuff that I'm doing. And then that was the year that I also resigned from the youth fund. So there was also that drama that happened and I lost a very good friend in that process. And so there was a lot I was dealing with. 2010, actually, no, I'm lying. 2008 was when I got married. 2009 is when I was pregnant with my first child. 2010, my baby's born. So I resigned while I was still pregnant with my child. Or rather, I wasn't lying, I forgot. Yes. And then 2011, Amuko, I want another baby. 2012, you know, so there's all these things happening in my private, personal life, trying to manage a toddler, trying to get pregnant again, and going through an ectopic pregnancy later. I think it was 2014 that happened. And then 2015, I fell pregnant again with my daughter, which was just such a wonderful, wonderful thing that happened after losing a pregnancy. And I know I was thinking the other day, oh my gosh, imagine I'll go to heaven and I'll see another baby that is mine. Powerful. It's just a nice thought. And then 2016, my son is born. So 1 year apart.
2015.
Yeah.
I know this because, again, we reconnected.
So we connected 2016 in
Before
June.
your son was born.
I was pregnant.
You were pregnant
with my son. I was so pregnant.
Yeah.
That's when so how we met, let me tell you how we met. This was so random. Again, by the way, if you're listening to this and you don't believe there's a God, by the way, don't trust that lie. So 2016, I've already started writing my book, right? Actually, I was at the tail end now of writing my book. And my husband tells me, my colleague in the office just had a baby, can we go visit? And I was like, yeah, sure, let us know when. So this Sunday we go visit. So when we visit her, we're having tea, blah, blah, blah. And she keeps telling me, you need to talk to my husband. And I don't know why. She kept telling me, so this is not somebody who I knew very well. I mean, I'd met Karimi at church, but she was Alan's colleague.
Yes.
And then she kept saying, you need to talk to Georgie, you need to talk to Georgie. I'd never met George before. And I'm like, okay, I guess we'll talk. She had no idea what my journey was. She had no idea I was writing a book. She knew nothing. She just kept saying, you need to talk to Georgie. And I'm like, okay, we'll eventually talk at some point, because I was in the kitchen with her. Yeah. Georgie and Alan were in the living room, in their home. And then we finished, I think we were cleaning the dishes, we finished and then walked to the living room and we started talking. And then for some reason, we changed. So it was me talking to Georgie and Alan was talking to Karimi. Yeah. And so Georgie starts talking to me about what he does. And he tells me, do you know this lady called Candice Payne? I'm like, Candice who? He's like, Candice Payne. I mean, she's broken the internet. I'm like, okay, slow down. So he opens his Facebook. Facebook Live had just been launched like 3 days before I was in their home, okay? And he starts to tell me the power of social media and starts to explain to me what he does. And he's, George, very animated, very excited, very passionate about what he does. And he said, let me stop telling you about what I do. Let me show you what social media is. I had a Facebook account that I had just posted, I don't even know, like 3 pictures. What? I was a stalker on Facebook before then. Yeah. So George just shows me this lady called Candice Payne, and he's like, just watch this.
She had put on the mask.
So she had put on her mask. Yeah, she's like, oh my gosh, it's my birthday. And I'm so excited that I get to celebrate it without my kids. And I just went to Walmart. No, it was Kohl's. I went to Kohl's and I'm so happy. And I'm like, oh gosh, what is all this? So she has her phone on her dashboard and she's talking about her excitement around getting herself a present and not having her kids. She was her home schooling mom. Stay-home mom. And she puts on this Chewbacca, ugly-looking monster face, and opens the mouth of her mouth, which means the Chewbacca's mouth opens, and it makes this very weird sound, and she laughs. Oh my gosh! But her tagline was "Simple Joys." Do you know that thing went so viral?
Yep. I've even remembered it when you said it.
You remembered it?
Yep.
I couldn't understand what was happening. I was like, what is it? I watched. So after George explained to me, he said, just watch this thing. Because she's been super authentic. She's just shared her life and she did it on Facebook Live. And I was like, for the next few days, I'm watching it. But George explained what he does. And I said, oh my gosh, George, you're the person that I need. My editor, who was Filipino at the time, fantastic, brilliant woman, said to me, don't stress about doing a physical launch for your book. Because I was just like, I can't afford it. I'm so pregnant. I don't look nice. She was like, don't stress, okay? Just look at social media today. And people have changed how they launch books. And so I took her advice. And then I meet George. And I'm like, George, you're going to help me. I'll come see you in the office after now that meeting in his home. And the next few days, I just watched Candice Payne blow up. Do you know, the next day, I don't know, she was called by Facebook. She went to the Facebook office. She was flown there, taken to their offices. Next, George Lucas and his team, was it George Lucas? I can't remember. Who was behind Star Wars?
One of those guys.
One of those guys.
Darth Vader.
She's given all this merchandise. More than she can even contain. From these guys.
She got news opportunities.
She was on Good Morning America. I watched this woman like almost every day. Her views in like 2 days was like 6 point, I don't know what million. And I was like, oh my gosh. She got a job. Not that she was looking, but they was like, please, could you come and you can work within. It was amazing to see her transformation. What did I do next? George. Perhaps I'm coming to see you, so I came to 4 hours.
I need to paint context. You see, right now, even this we're doing on social media, this is a norm. Then it was not, especially within this place called Kenya. It was not a norm at all.
At all. So then I saw the power of that, and I told George, look, I know nobody, I'm a nobody, and I've written a book about money, and I'm not a Robert Kiyosaki. I need to sell a book because I think I know something from the experiences I've had. And I think I have a good book because this book went through a lot. I mean, I had experts in the industry critique it.
When did you start writing the book? You know, we've talked about launching the book without the beginning of the book.
It was 3 years prior. I think it was...
Actually, we talked
about it. I think it was 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
It was 2014 when I started writing it.
Then
I think it was 2014, then I got pregnant.
You waited a bit?
I waited a bit, then I continued. It took me about 2.5 years.
Okay.
So but the process of the launch, I had my manuscript and I looked for 5 key industry players that I respected, that I needed to have a look at this book and give me their views. So I photocopied, or rather printed out the book, bound it, delivered it. I went to Dr. Mudida at Strathmore.
Wow.
Somebody I deeply respect. I took it to James Moria at Centum.
Wow.
I took it to Brian Kay, who's my friend and a brilliant human. I took it to...
Brian.
I know, right?
So undercover. Saying his name and not stopping here. Good work. Brian.
Yeah.
Amazing human being.
Amazing, amazing brother. I took a copy to Bo Slot. He's Norwegian and...
Bo, yes.
Yeah, Bo. You know
Yes,
Bo?
I know Bo.
I took a copy to Bo just for a different cultural perspective and just to hear his views. Bo is an investor.
Yep.
And just a brilliant, brilliant human. And I took a copy to another brilliant person who works at Longhorn, who's a publisher. And I can't tell you how that made me feel afraid. I'd been working on this baby, and I'm just like, God, I've given it to the honchos. You know what I mean? Like, as far as I was concerned, there were people who were really, really good at what they did. And I was asking for their feedback. But I was ready to make whatever adjustments that were necessary. I cannot tell you how many red marks were on that book. But each of those 5 people, there's one more. I gave the last copy to Alan Gashukia's wife.
Oh.
Yes, she worked at the World Bank at the time, just for her views also. And then while they were looking at it, I also held a focus group. So I got different people together. I sat down with just to understand their journeys, to understand their challenges, to understand, because the money is telling stories and trying to explain money is not an easy thing. It's a heavy subject. I didn't want it to be boring and theoretical. I needed to be an easy read, but also one that ends up making somebody be like, I can do this. And tomorrow I'm going to implement it and my life can be transformed. And it is transformed because there's principles in there that I can follow and do. So when I've said I've written a book, it's really not just me. There's people who have been involved in that process. Another couple that I gave the book to were a Nigerian couple that I truly, truly deeply respect, Nse and Joy Uko. They've become like our mentor couple who have walked a very interesting journey with me. They started off as clients and have become our deep family friends. They visit Kenya fairly often. Nse was here just the other day and continues to give me advice and my husband advice around money and the seasons and all of that. Whenever I need to do research on Ghana or in Nigeria, he's like on speed dial and he gives me all this information. Anyway, my clients have done. Again, clients have given me serious hookups. But anyway, so I guess to cut the long story short, they all gave me this feedback and I took it very seriously. Dr. Mudida just was amazing. Just sort of saying, have you thought about this? Read this other book. This is one-sided. What about this other perspective? You know, and I really appreciated that. And I told him, and I say it again, I am really grateful for the time that they gave me to just, you know, look at it and give me that critique. Moria then wrote my foreword for the book. And I'm deeply grateful for that.
By the time he's putting his name on the book, that's nothing small. These are guys who understand money.
Yeah, and he read it, you know? Yeah. He read it, he had his comments, and he then also wrote the foreword.
Wow.
Brian also did a fantastic job, just sort of giving me different perspectives.
Rina, you call some serious specialists. You know, sometimes some of these people are behind the scenes and are not famous celebrities.
No, they're not, but they're ex-Wall Street people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are guys who are globally respected.
Brian is Ivy League level. What are we talking about, right?
In fact, it was Brian who I was talking about. People have no idea who he is. But if you know, you know.
You know. And then Bo came back to me and said, look, why don't you have exercises after every chapter so that somebody can actually practically implement what they've read? And I was like, that's fantastic. So I did it and sent it back to him. Anyway, the process was long. I eventually finished. Now, what led me to discover that social media actually works was after I started doing videos with you guys, as rough as they were, as chaotic as it was, as random as I looked.
I know.
You know?
We'd be like, listen, people are just interested in what it is.
And you used to affirm me so much. And I'm just like, my hair, my face, oh, I'm so pregnant. Oh, gosh, shoot from here. I was so conscious about how I looked.
And again, I say it's because it was so early in the game, the only person people had to compare with were people in TV.
Yeah.
And Caroline.
Yes. Oh, yeah, Caroline was way ahead. You know, she had done
because we had started Caroline, and we're not way ahead. We started Caroline in 2015, so you were not behind.
Right. So it's just a year after. Yeah, and then I remember 4 days before my son was born, because I was pregnant, expecting my son. 4 days before he was born, we decided to do a Facebook Live to launch the book. Were you there?
I was there in the room.
You were there in the room? I was so pregnant. I was just like, this baby can come anytime now. Anyway, so we shot the video, did the live launch, and then I went on maternity leave because I couldn't do anything else. The book came out, even when we were doing that live launch, the book had not, the print copy was not out. The printed copy came out. My baby came in September. By December, we had sold 500 books, and I couldn't leave my house. And I was just like, how does this happen? But I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I remember in February, I had a meeting with you and George. And I said, I've seen the power of social media and I want to be able to continue.
Oh, that's now when you started your videos?
So that's when now, no, I started my videos
before. Okay.
Before the launch, I had started doing videos, but it was like once a week. But now after selling the 500 books, I was like, I think I need to up this game and be a bit more strategic about it. So then, you know, did the videos. 2017, we're dropping a video a day. 2018, we continued, and then I started to get corporate gigs. Come and talk to our staff about this. Come and talk to us. And then I started getting calls. Can you come and train us? Can you coach me? I'm like, coach who? I don't know what that means. Yep. Can you work with me? And so I decided I need to go back to school. And then I got certified as a professional coach at CDI Africa, which was another transformational journey on so many levels. And then we got a gig with KCB to train their women in leadership.
Wow.
And I did the training for financial wellness. Anyway, the story continues now from there, but I can tell you from when I started doing YouTube videos, and they were not perfect. They were very far from perfect. But it's amazing to see what that then did for me as an individual. And just the ability to create a brand from nothing. And just the growth that then happened from there. So 2019, I graduated from CDI. I started to have coaching clients. I then, became a fully fledged certified coach and started the journey of coaching. The reason I was able to do all these different things is because there was some other drama that happened. And so I was just like, okay, operations director at FIDA, let me just turn a little bit and get a second income stream. Because I don't know how this thing is going to work. Life happens, there's cycles that I can't even. So there was a business, a client that we served. The client ended up doing something fraudulent in the country, and we got into a bit of challenges around that. We had nothing to do with the fraud. Again, it wasn't fraud, it was mismanagement. And the company ended up collapsing. And so it was very many issues around that. But what was exciting that after that journey that gave me, it was a painful journey to go through because we were falsely accused. We then ended up getting a really good deal, and that was the merger of NIC Bank and Commercial Bank of Africa, CBA.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were hired as the independent financial advisors.
That was huge.
For that merger, yeah.